At the engagement banquet, a hunter left me to rush to the hospital for my first love, who had been paralyzed for 4 years. I sat in the wedding room all night, but Hunter didn't come back until the morning. I saw that Rebecca's Facebook was updated again, posting a photo of Hunter personally feeding her porridge. I just mentioned that I wanted to have the seafood porridge from this restaurant, and Hunter got up early and queued for 2 hours to buy it. I secretly laughed to myself. I also really like the seafood congee from that restaurant, but it's only available during breakfast hours, and every time there's a long line stretching far outside. Hunter hates queuing the most. He refused to buy it for me and said that it doesn't matter what kind of porridge I drink, so I haven't had any for a long time. But now, because of another woman's words, he got up early to stand in line to buy it for her. At this moment, I looked at the wall in the living room filled with couple photos and felt an overwhelming sense of irony. The photo wall was suggested by Hunter. He spent several days selecting 52 photos that were particularly meaningful to us. Then, he personally designed the frame and background for each photo and hung them up himself the night before our engagement. He turned his head and left me at the engagement banquet to be with his first love, making me completely a joke. But that no longer matters. Since he cares so much about Rebecca, I might as well support them. I got up to pack my things, and it was at that moment that Hunter walked in. "Nicole, look what I specially brought back for you to eat." He held up a bag of food, presenting it to me like a treasure. "It's the seafood congee you've been thinking about. I had to wait in line for 2 hours to get it, so hurry up and try it." Hunter ignored my resistance and pulled me to the dining table, opening the bag to take out the insulated food container. The thermal insulation of the takeout boxes from this restaurant is very good, but the seafood congee that should be piping hot does not emit any steam, and the congee that should be thick and rich appears thin and watery, clearly having cooled down after being stirred. He awkwardly served a bowl and placed it in front of me, his expression somewhat unnatural. There was a bit of traffic on the way back, and it took a while, so the porridge has gotten a bit cold. "I'll go heat it up for you." I didn't expose his lie, but said calmly, "No need to heat it up. I don't want to eat it." Hunter paused with a bowl of congee in his hand, then furrowed his brows and said sternly, "Haven't you always wanted to eat seafood congee? I specially stood in line to buy it for you. And now you say you have no appetite? Isn't it just because I accompanied Rebecca to the hospital yesterday that the engagement banquet was delayed? She has been paralyzed for 4 years, and suddenly being able to move her legs is such a big deal that I had to rush to the hospital with her. Why can't you try to understand me a little more? And I already said I would make it up to you with a grand wedding later. You just keep making a fuss, and now you're still giving me that sour face. If it were before, we would definitely have had a big fight because of Rebecca. But I'm about to marry my childhood sweetheart, so I don't want to argue with him anymore." Hunter saw that I was silent and thought I was showing weakness and compromise. His tone softened. "Once I'm done with this busy period and Rebecca is back to normal, I'll take you on a trip, okay? You've always wanted to travel abroad, so wherever you want to go, I'll be with you." I frowned slightly, and my heart ached for a moment. What I said before was that I wanted to go to Xinjiang to take a look. It was Rebecca who wanted to go abroad to have fun. Hunter's gaze fell on the suitcase on the ground, and he was taken aback for a moment. "Why on earth did you take the suitcase out?" I looked at him calmly and replied calmly, "It's just throwing away some old things. If the old doesn't go, the new won't come." Hunter had just sat on the sofa for 5 minutes when his phone rang. As soon as he answered, he jumped up and shouted anxiously, "What did you say? How could Rebecca fall when she was fine? How are you taking care of her?" Hunter was furious and hung up the phone, rushing to go outside. "The caregiver Rebecca hired is so irresponsible. She actually let her fall. Nicole, I will stay at the hospital with Rebecca for the next few days and won't be coming back. You behave at home, and when I return, we'll go to the wedding planning company to book the wedding venue." I raised an eyebrow and casually said, "Anyway." At this moment, he can't hear anything I say because he had already left the house after saying his last sentence. After he left, I packed up everything and left the marital home. I also took down the photo wall, cutting the group photo in half, only sticking the half that has him back on the wall. I will never come back here again. Before long, Rebecca's Facebook updated with a video of the two in a jewelry store, where Hunter gave her a 10-carat diamond ring. The caption read, "A promise 4 years late has finally been fulfilled today." I let out a cold laugh and commented below, "Congratulations." Then Hunter sent a message accusing, "Nicole, why are you deliberately provoking Rebecca again? She fell today and couldn't get up, cried for a long time, and I barely managed to come for her. That diamond ring was just to encourage her. Why are you making a fuss about it?" I cursed silently in my heart, dog man. Posting wedding invitations and photos on Facebook is to encourage her, and at this moment, giving her a diamond ring is also to motivate her. Hunter still thinks and that woman who once loved him to the point of losing myself. I couldn't be bothered to argue with a trash man like him, so I blocked him. I was just about to go out to find my childhood friend, and had no time to deal with him. So I blocked him, and it was just nice and quiet. I made an appointment with my childhood friend to do a premarital checkup today, and then once the results come out, we will go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate. Unexpectedly, as I just walked into the hospital lobby with my childhood friend, I ran into Hunter and Rebecca, who had just returned from the jewelry store. He looked at the childhood friend beside me in surprise and asked sharply, "Who is he? Why are you together?" The childhood friend greeted Hunter openly. "Hello, I'm Vance, and I've known Nicole since we were kids." He turned his head close to me and whispered in my ear, "Can we speak honestly about our true relationship and the purpose of this trip?" I caught a glimpse of Hunter across from me, his face dark and his fists clenched tightly. I know this is a sign that he is about to get angry, so I whispered to Vance, "He won't give you the chance to say it." Sure enough, the moment I finished speaking, Hunter exploded. "Nicole, come here. When did you suddenly have a childhood friend? How did I not know about this? Besides, we are already engaged, and yet you appear with another man. Have you considered my feelings?" I glanced at Rebecca beside me and scoffed. "Do I need to consider your feelings? Are you worth it? Do you deserve it?" My 3 questions made Hunter's face completely darken. "So, you brought in a man like this just to make me angry? Nicole, how many times have I told you that Rebecca is in a special situation right now, which is why I'm taking care of her? She doesn't have any other relatives or friends here, so if I don't take care of her, who will? Why can't you be more sensible? You weren't like this before, were you? If you keep being so unreasonable, I really won't like you anymore," Hunter said, then pressed his lips together tightly and turned his head to the side. I know he is waiting for me to take the initiative to coax him in the past. He liked to use cold violence against me whenever he was not happy, and he would not pay attention to me until I bowed my head and admitted my mistakes. But this time, I pulled Vance and walked past him, lightly tossing out, "Hunter, I've given you back your freedom. We're done." He immediately looked at me angrily, his voice trembling with rage. "Nicole, don't you dare regret it. There are plenty of women in this world who want to marry me, and when the time comes, you won't have a place to cry if you regret it." I waved my hand at him, signaling that he need not worry about this. "I've already found the man I want to marry, and I have no regrets." Hunter's eyes were blood red, wanting to come over and argue with me, but he was stopped by Rebecca in the wheelchair. "Hunter, my legs hurt again. I want to go back to the hospital bed to rest." He hesitated for a moment, but still pushed Rebecca towards the direction of the elevator. I walked out for a long distance before the lingering gaze behind me finally disappeared. After the premarital checkup, Vance went to get the car, and I waited for him at the hospital entrance. Hunter appeared before me at that moment, and it was clear that he had been waiting for me for quite a while. "Are you intentionally bringing a man to the hospital to upset me? Are you here for a checkup? What's wrong with you? Why didn't you tell me, and why did you bring a stranger with you to the hospital?" Hunter's tone was much better than before, but when it came to me finding an outsider to accompany me for the checkup, he was still a bit angry. "Nicole, I am your fiancé. You can tell me directly about anything in the future. I am your support." Hearing him say that he is my support, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Once I was cleaning up high and fell off the ladder, injuring my leg so badly that I couldn't stand up. I quickly called him and asked him to accompany me to the hospital. But he was busy calming down his first love, who was emotionally unstable due to her paralysis, and he shouted at me impatiently, "If you're hurt, take a taxi to the hospital yourself. Rebecca can't be without me right now." I shed tears of grievance and said in a choked voice, "But you are my boyfriend, and I need you with me right now. Clearly, you are my support, so why are you only paying attention to that Rebecca? Is she more important to you than your girlfriend?" Hunter was furious on the phone. "You just fell off a ladder. How could you possibly get hurt? Rebecca is paralyzed and in a wheelchair. Of course, it's more important to be with her. Nicole, I'm telling you, this is a crucial time for Rebecca's psychological recovery. If you cause any more trouble, I really will get angry and ignore you." He hung up the phone after losing his temper, and when I called back, no one answered. I endured the severe pain in my leg and went to the hospital alone crying. Only when I arrived at the hospital did I find out that my leg was fractured. Since then, I gradually got used to not relying on him anymore. But now, Hunter is actually too embarrassed to say he is my support. How ironic. I unfolded the premarital examination form and read each word on it to him, pointing at the headings. "Hunter, you should understand now, right? I'm here for the premarital checkup." Hunter snatched the form from my hand and studied it seriously for a few seconds, then frowned and said in a deep voice, "Nicole, do you really want to get married this badly? So eager to marry me? I've already said that I will marry you once Rebecca's situation stabilizes, but she's just started to stand up and needs my support and encouragement. You pressure me to marry you while you're here, and you're deliberately provoking Rebecca, aren't you? How can your thoughts be so malicious? Showing no sympathy at all for a poor woman who has been paralyzed for 4 years." He threw the medical examination form at me and said angrily, "I told you, I will marry you, but not now. Hurry home and stop causing me trouble. Be obedient. Rebecca will be discharged in a few days, and then I can go back and spend time with you properly." I sighed in silence, taking a deep look at this man whom I had loved for several years. But I just couldn't overlap his current appearance with the bright young man that once existed in my mind. At this moment, Vance's car had already arrived, and Hunter's phone rang just in time. He lowered his head to glance at his phone screen, then looked at me with a harsh tone. "Nicole, you'd better stay away from that guy from now on." Then he picked up the phone and hurried away. I heard him reply in a gentle voice, "Rebecca, I'll be back in the ward soon." In the following days, Hunter did not contact me again, while Vance and I were extremely busy looking for a wedding house, booking the venue for the engagement, choosing wedding rings, and taking wedding photos. Once we finish all this, we'll just wait for Vance to find the auspicious date that the master has calculated, and when the day arrives, we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate. But on the day I was getting the certificate, I received a call from Hunter. As soon as I picked up, his angry voice came through. "Nicole, what on earth is going on at home? Why are all your things missing, and why have you destroyed the photo wall we carefully designed? How long are you going to keep this up? If you continue to act so unreasonably, then this time we will really break up." Hunter thought I was just throwing a tantrum with him. He wanted to use breaking up to force me to compromise. He roared hoarsely into the phone. "Nicole, where are you? Hurry up and get back here." I was dumbfounded by his silly smile and replied softly, "I'm at the Civil Affairs Bureau." I sat in the waiting area of the marriage registration office, waiting for my number to be called. Today is a good day. There are many couples here to collect their marriage certificates, and Vance and I are number 27 in line. Vance handed me the queue number ticket and said with a smile, "This queue number is interesting. Number 27, beloved wife." Just as I was speaking, a tall figure blocked the light in front of me. And when I looked up, I saw Hunter with a stern expression. Our eyes met, and he snatched the queue number from my hand and tore it to shreds. "Nicole, are you going to make a scene forever? Just to force me to marry you? You staged this fake marriage? Have I ever said I wouldn't marry you? I've emphasized several times that Rebecca can't be stimulated right now. As soon as she's better, I'll marry you immediately. Can't you even wait this little bit of time? You have to find a man to pretend to get a marriage certificate to provoke me? What if I hadn't come today? Were you really planning to get a marriage certificate with him?" He ignored the gazes around us and pulled me out. I know you're acting this way because you care too much about me and are afraid that Rebecca will take me away, but I really don't have anything with her. I just want to help her get back on her feet as a friend. Nicole, please stop trying to provoke me, okay? I've been so exhausted taking care of Rebecca in the hospital these past few days. I really want to drink the pork rib soup you make. Let's go home and you can make soup for me, okay? I could tell from his tone that he was trying to give me an out, signaling for a reconciliation. He thought that, like before, as long as he softened a little, I would forgive him. I shook off his hand and said impatiently, "Hunter, are you sick? We've already broken up and there's nothing between us anymore." He looked at me in disbelief, his eyes wide open. "Just because of this little thing you want to break up with me? Is our years of relationships so fragile? I don't agree to the breakup. If you're sulking because of Rebecca, I promise I will try to care less about her from now on. I'll save all my time to be with you. Is that okay?" Hunter thought we were still the same as before, just arguing because of Rebecca, and that we would make up after the fight. He clearly knows that I would mind Rebecca, yet he always want to take care of her under the guise of friendship. He understands everything in his heart. He just doesn't care about my feelings. Fortunately, I stopped the loss in time and did not force myself and him into marriage. Hunter stared intently into my eyes, as if he was certain I would reconcile with him like before. His phone had rung several times, but he didn't answer. I know those calls are all from Rebecca. This exclusive ringtone was set by her using Hunter's phone. At this moment, the number calling machine had already called number 27. I got up, took Vance's hand, and pulled out the prepared document saying, "Step aside, don't delay us from getting our marriage certificate." Hunter stared at our intertwined hands in shock, his voice trembling as he asked, "Are you really going to marry someone else? Don't you love me? How could you bear to leave me and marry someone else?" On this joyous day, I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. I linked my arm with Vance's and walked straight to the registration window, bypassing him. Hunter's phone rang again. This time he answered, his tone irritated. "Rebecca, are you annoying or what? If your leg hurts, just call 120. I'm not a doctor. Calling me won't make your legs stop hurting." He hung up the phone and called out to me, his eyes red. From crying, "Nicole, come back." When Vance and I came out after getting our marriage certificate, Hunter had already left. It must be that Rebecca urged him very urgently. It was rare for him to lose his temper with her, but he quickly went to appease her. However, these no longer have anything to do with me. From the day I decided to break up, I no longer loved him. Vance was worried that I might be in a bad mood because of Hunter and asked if I needed some space to myself. My childhood friend has grown up to be both warm and respectful towards women, completely different from the him of our childhood. I took out my phone and blocked all of Hunter's contact information and said formally, "In fact, even when I called you that time, I had already let him go in my heart. Don't worry, I take my feelings very seriously and would never be indecisive." Vance gently brushed my nose. "Silly, how could I not trust you? I'm just worried that you're feeling upset." I laughed out loud. "I'm not feeling bad inside, just a bit uncomfortable because I'm hungry. It's almost noon. Let's go find a restaurant to celebrate." After finishing the vibrant and spicy hot pot, I felt incredibly cheerful. In the following days, we were busy decorating the wedding room. One deep night during this time, I received a call from a local unknown number. However, when I answered, the other side said nothing. All I could hear was obvious heavy breathing, as if they had drunk a lot of alcohol. I had a feeling it was Hunter calling. I had blocked him, so he could only call from a new number. I quickly blocked this number as well. When the wedding room was almost arranged, the wedding company called to say that the wedding venue was also set up and asked us to come and take a look. But I didn't expect to run into Hunter and Rebecca here. Rebecca was in a pure white wedding dress, her face adorned with bridal makeup, and she looked in great spirits. Hunter stood to the side in a black tuxedo, his face stern as he followed the photographer's instructions. They came to take wedding photos, occupying the venue of my wedding with Vance. Hunter saw Vance and me walking over hand in hand, and his face darkened. And Rebecca, upon learning that the venue was my wedding location, threw a fit and insisted on reshooting. Hunter, I absolutely do not want my wedding photos tainted by that woman's presence. It's just bad luck. She pointed at the photography team and threatened, hurry up and change the location for a reshoot, or I will complain to the company and expose you online for charging high fees while going against the client's wishes. The scene became awkward, and Hunter's face showed his inability to maintain composure as he impatiently scolded, "Enough. Stop being so willful and reckless. We're already at the last set. Once we finish this, it's over." But Rebecca, feeling wronged, shed tears and cried out, "I won't. I want to shoot it again." "Hunter, didn't you say that even if I wanted the stars in the sky, you would do your utmost to get them for me? Why is it that now you won't even agree to such a small request? Do the words you said to me before no longer count?" Hunter's face darkened completely as he threw his suit to the ground. "If you don't want to shoot, then just don't. Rebecca, I've really had enough of you. When I was with Nicole, she never acted like this, always making a fuss. Unlike you, who finds something to complain about every single day. You're really annoying, do you know that?" After he finished his outburst, he turned and left, leaving Rebecca crying in place. She saw that Hunter had really walked away, stopped crying, and shot me a fierce glare before leaving. I let out a cold snort and secretly stepped on her long veil. Only after I saw her clutching her hair and crying out in pain did I feel at ease to look at the venue setup. The countdown to my wedding with Vance has begun, and we are both busy with our own affairs at home, so we won't see each other before the wedding. Since Hunter ran into me at the wedding venue, he's been frantically looking for me. He changed many new numbers to call me and always cried and confessed to me in the middle of the night after getting drunk, "Nicole, I give up. It was my fault for losing such a woman who loved me so much. I really regret it now. Please give me another chance to start over, okay? I always thought you were just being stubborn with me, and I thought that man was someone you brought in to deliberately provoke me. If I had known you really wanted to leave me and marry someone else, I would have definitely brought you back sooner. Nicole, I know you still love me. You still have me in your heart. Even though you have already registered your marriage with him, I don't mind. You can go and get the divorce paperwork done, and then we can be together again, okay? Nicole, I love you, and I only love you." My feelings for Rebecca were just a lingering obsession from my youth. Later, I realized that she is nothing compared to you. I was truly blinded by my feelings, hurting you time and again for her. On the phone, he cried uncontrollably, repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry." I was already busy with wedding preparations, and he was bothering me to no end. After blocking his number time and again, he found my former friends and colleagues, asking them to help him get in touch with me. In the end, the people around me were innocently harassed. I removed him from my blacklist and scolded him fiercely. "Hunter, can't you understand human language? It's over between us, and I am already married. Please do not harass me anymore, or I will call the police. As for you and Rebecca, that's your business. It has nothing to do with me, and I don't want to hear about it anymore. If you continue to harass me and the people around me, I will definitely call the police." On the other end of the phone, Hunter suddenly laughed with surprise. "Nicole, I knew you were jealous. I really have nothing to do with her now. I was planning to give it a try with her after you got your marriage certificate with another man. But after being together, I realized her true nature. She is really willful and selfish, completely unlike you, who would consider my feelings. Nicole, I promise I will never contact her again. I will completely cut ties with her. Give me one more chance. Let's start over." He was so agitated that his voice trembled, and I could hear his nervous heartbeat. But I just replied distantly and coldly, "Have you finished? Then it's my turn to speak. Hunter, we can no longer have a chance to start over. You said Rebecca was your obsession from your youth, so am I not also an obsession of yours now? It's not that you love me so much. You just can't accept that I don't love you anymore, that I was the one who initiated the breakup. You should be very clear about how you felt about Rebecca before, but just a few days later you find her annoying. Then you feel the same way about me. Even if we got back together, it wouldn't be long before you started to get tired of me. And most importantly, I no longer love you. After breaking up with you, I realized how hard and exhausting these past few years have been for me. I am very glad to have left you, so you don't need to look for me anymore. I can never be with you again. Hunter remained silent for a long time, and after a while, I heard him sobbing uncontrollably. But I really can't accept you leaving me like this. I really love you. Without you, I can only live like a walking corpse. Nicole, even if you no longer love me, it doesn't matter. I will silently love you. Hunter hung up the phone first. I think he should have thought it through and realized that there's no possibility between us anymore. Soon, the wedding date for Vance and me arrived. It was on this day that Hunter appeared again. The wedding ceremony is scheduled for 10:18 a.m., and Vance's bridal procession will arrive promptly at 7:58 a.m. I was so excited that I hardly slept all night, and at 5 in the morning, my best friend woke me up to do my makeup. The physical exhaustion had long been replaced by the excitement of the wedding, and I was already prepared early, waiting for Vance's arrival. 24. The door outside was knocked on. My heart skipped a beat. We had set the time to pick up the bride at 7:58, so why would they come to pick me up at this inauspicious time? I thought maybe Vance was worried about traffic and left early. When my best friend excitedly opened the door, the atmosphere suddenly turned cold. At first, there was a silence outside, and then I heard the noise. I crouched by the door, my ears keenly picking up Hunter's voice, and I thought to myself that it was not good. He showed up to cause trouble on my wedding day, and I took out my phone to call the police. I heard him shouting outside, "Nicole, I'm here to marry you. Come out and let's go. The wedding car is waiting for us downstairs. I told you I would give you a grand wedding. Don't miss the time." One of the best friends ran back, anxiously saying, "That shameless man, Hunter, actually came to steal the bride. Do you think he's out of his mind?" I was also taken aback. Then furrowed my brows, stood up and rushed outside, holding up the hem of my wedding dress. Hunter saw me come out, and his eyes lit up. "Nicole, surprised?" "I remember when we watched a movie together, there was a scene about stealing the bride. Didn't you say that if one day you married someone else, you wanted me to steal you back on your wedding day? Now I'm here to make your movie dream come true." His brothers beside him also looked very excited. "Sister-in-law, hurry up and go with Hunter. Another wedding procession will be here soon." "Sister-in-law, Hunter has gone to great lengths for you. He thought you really didn't want him anymore, but later realized you wanted to add a segment for snatching the bride." He looked at me expectantly, waiting for me to praise him. I was so speechless that I couldn't help but laugh. I looked at Hunter angrily and said, "Hunter, are you out of your mind? That was just something we joked about during our passionate phase. How could you take it seriously after we officially broke up? Hurry up and get your people out of here. Don't delay my husband from coming to pick me up." He was stunned for a few seconds, disappointment flowing from his eyes. "Nicole, do you really not want to come with me? I've prepared a bigger wedding for you." I am so angry that my temples are throbbing, and I forcefully suppress my rage, squeezing out a few words through clenched teeth. "I don't want to. Get out of here." Hunter's eyes were red, tears streaming down like a broken dam.
Why?
"Why have I done so much for you, yet you still won't forgive me? I was ready to marry you, so why won't you come with me?" I looked at him like he was an idiot, utterly speechless. "Hunter, you are really annoying." He was taken aback, realizing that he had said the same thing about Rebecca that day, and suddenly understood my feelings for him. But he hadn't had the chance to leave yet when Vance's wedding procession arrived. The scene fell into chaos. First, the groomsmen got into a fight, and then Vance and Hunter started fighting as well. It was not until the police arrived that they all stopped. I was originally worried about Vance, but later I found out that he had the upper hand during the fight. Aside from taking a couple of kicks to the waist, Hunter didn't hurt him. But Hunter was not so lucky. His injuries were almost all on his face. I walked over to Vance, gently brushing the dust off his suit, and quietly asked, "Does it hurt?" He affectionately patted my head and shook his head. Hunter stared at me fiercely, his teeth nearly bleeding. "Nicole, can't you see the wounds on my face?
You only care about him.
Don't you worry about me at all? But I don't want to look at him even once. as if he doesn't exist. He angrily wanted to rush over and take action again, but was timely stopped by the police and was given a lesson. Nicole, don't you care about him? He hurt me now, so I'll make him go to jail. Absolutely no reconciliation. Fortunately, there was surveillance at the entrance, and the police quickly found out that it was Hunter's groomsmen who had provoked and made the first move. But he still had to go to the police station to make a statement, and our wedding had to be postponed. Fortunately, he returned just in time before the auspicious hour. Our wedding went smoothly, but when we returned to the wedding room at night, I discovered that he had 2 bruises on his waist, and the injuries were quite serious. He bared his teeth and helped me apply the medicine, then pulled me into his arms. Why are you running? This little injury won't delay our wedding night. I laughed at him for joking even though he was hurt, and the next second, I was silenced. Vance kept me up late before finally letting me sleep, and when I woke up the next day, he had already made breakfast. At that moment, I felt that I had married the right person. After the wedding, we went on a honeymoon trip, and by the time we returned, it was already a month later. Hunter was detained for 15 days and fined 5,000 yuan. The day he came out, he sent me a long message talking about our initial acquaintance and his deep loss of a loved one. His messages were filled with regret and remorse, but I didn't reply and he didn't send me any more messages. A week later, Rebecca found me. When she called, I was busy setting up the nursery. I didn't expect to be pregnant so soon. I was planning to enjoy a little more time in our world of just the 2 of us. Vance, however, was very happy, saying that this time he had finally managed to tie me firmly to his side. I had just picked up Rebecca's call when her cries came through first. Nicole, please save Hunter. He's locked himself in your wedding room, drinking day and night. If he keeps this up, he won't survive. None of you can get through to him. I know it's because he can't let go of you. Right now, only your words can reach him. I find it amusing. She clearly used to love stealing Hunter away from me, and now she's begging me to go to his side. Rebecca, you asked the wrong person. It doesn't matter how he is anymore. It's been over between us for a long time. Moreover, how could Hunter easily seek death for love? A man who only loves himself would be foolish enough to drink himself to death. 3 months later, I went to the obstetrics and gynecology hospital for a routine pregnancy checkup and ran into Hunter and Rebecca. She was holding her lower abdomen, happily talking to Hunter beside her while holding the report. Hunter listened intently, a hint of joy in his eyes. I said, how could such a selfish man bear to drink himself to death? He's doing just fine, and he's even become a father. I originally wanted to avoid those 2, but Hunter still saw me. While Rebecca entered the examination room, he came to my side. What about him? How can he be at ease letting you come here alone? I chuckled dismissively. He's busy earning money for my son's formula.
I can handle a routine checkup by myself.
I'm not that delicate. He smiled awkwardly and said, indeed, Rebecca is still far behind compared to you, but she is carrying my child, so I can only marry her. It turned out that during that time, Rebecca took advantage of Hunter's drunkenness, disguised herself as me, and tricked him into bed until she became pregnant. I can't help but sigh. These 2 extreme individuals are truly a perfect match. If it weren't for her pretending to be you, I wouldn't have fallen for it at all. Nicole, even though I know there is no possibility for us anymore, I still want to say that I have always loved you. I quickly told him not to say the next words and gestured for him to turn back. He looked back and laughed dismissively. It doesn't matter. No matter what I say now, she won't care. Her goal has already been achieved. She has trapped me by the child in her womb for a lifetime. Nicole, I'm sorry. I once hurt you. Everything I'm going through now, let it be my retribution. You take care of yourself from now on. Seeing that I was just pursing my lips and not speaking, he felt a bit disappointed, but soon he smiled with understanding. Rebecca walked over unhappily and pulled Hunter away. If they don't even care about your life or death, how can they care about your meaningless words? I smiled and shook my head. They were all insignificant to me, and I truly didn't care. I placed my hand on my lower abdomen. I only care about the ones who love me and the ones I love. Vance's phone call came at the right moment. Honey, I'm almost done. Wait for me to come pick you up. I curved my lips and replied softly. Okay, the story ends.